Srimad-Bhagavatam 5.5.17 Kastam swayam tadabhijño vipaschid avidyayamantare vartamanam drishtva gunastam sakranah kubuddhim prayojayedut pathagam yathantam. Kaha, who is that person? Tam, him, Swayam, personally. Tad abhijña, knowing spiritual knowledge. Vipaschit, a learned scholar. Avidyayam antare, in ignorance. Vartamanam, existing. Drishtva, seen. Punah, again. Tam, him. Sakranah, very merciful. Kubuddhim, who is addicted to the path of samsara. Prayojayet, would engage. Utpathagam, who is proceeding on the wrong path. Yatha, like. Andham, a blind man. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: if someone is ignorant and addicted to the path of samsara, how can one who is actually learned, merciful and advanced in spiritual knowledge engage him in fruitive activity and thus further entangle him in material existence? If a blind man is walking down the wrong path, how can a gentleman allow him to continue on his way to danger? How can he approve this method? No wise or kind man can allow this. There is no purport. And please repeat. If someone is ignorant and addicted to the path of samsara, how can one who is actually learned, merciful and advanced in spiritual knowledge engage him in fruitive activity and thus further entangle him in material existence? If a blind man is walking down the wrong path, how can a gentleman allow him to continue on his way to danger? How can he approve this method? No wise or kind man can allow this. We'll speak about this. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnanandhalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudhapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamvitamscha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, you see 5:15 and 16 are leading up to this verse. There it is said, if one is serious about going back home back to Godhead, he must consider the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the summum bonum and chief aim of life. If he is a father instructing his sons, a spiritual master instructing his disciples, or a king instructing his citizens, he must instruct them as I have advised. Without being angry, he should continue giving instructions even if his disciple, son, or citizen is sometimes unable to follow his order. Ignorant people who engage in pious and impious activities should be engaged in devotional service by all means. They should always avoid fruitive activity. If one puts into the bondage of karmic activity his disciple, son, or citizen who is bereft of transcendental vision, how will one profit? It is like leading a blind man to a dark well and causing him to fall in. Yeah, this verse, I actually want to speak on this anyway. Then yesterday's verse is there. Lokasvayam shreyasi nashtadrishtiryorthan samiheta nikama kama anyonya vaira sukalesha heto rananta dukkham chana veda mudha. Due to ignorance, the materialistic person does not know anything about his real self-interest, the auspicious path in life. He is simply bound to material enjoyment by lusty desires, and all his plans are made for this purpose. For temporary sense gratification, such a person creates a society of envy, and due to this mentality, he plunges into the ocean of suffering. Such a foolish person does not even know about this. So, and then today's verse, how can one allow such a person to continue on his way to danger? So now, this describes the heart of a preacher. So Nashta Drishti, see, they're out of ignorance, so many unfavorable circumstances are brought about. See, first of all, the previous verse actually describes all these. Lokaha, in this world, Swayam Shreyasi Nashta Drishti. They don't have, that is also stated in by Prahlad Maharaj, Natevedu Swarthagatim hi Vishnu, Durashayaya Bahirarthamanana, Andha Yathanthai Rupaniyamanas, Tebi Satantriyam Murudam Nivadhaha. So, they do not know that their real self-interest is actually Vishnu. There is a summum bonum of an aim of life. But they do not know. Nashta Drishti. Just now we chanted Om Ajnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So the Guru is the one who will give the drishti with the torchlight of knowledge. We are, our eyes are wide open but we are blind. If a blind man has his eyes wide open, it doesn't make a difference whether he's closed his eyes or open. He is blind, he cannot see. So Nashta Drishti is our blindness due to ignorance. And such people have desires, unlimited desires. Yo arthan samiheta nikama kama. So many unending desires. And to fulfill them, one spends his whole life. What is every materialistic person doing in life? He is creating desires and then he is trying to fulfill them and chasing those desires. And entire life gone. So we don't realize how much valuable this human life is, and we waste it in chasing these illusory desires, which is like the carrot that is attached to the head of the donkey, hanging, the carrot hanging from the head of the donkey, so that the donkey will go forward and forward and forward to get the carrot, and that way the donkey will go hundreds of kilometers. Will not going to get the carrot because it's always 1 foot away from him. So our endeavor to chase after material happiness is just like the donkey. Gatha. She Gatha hoy. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings Vidyar Vilase, Kataino Kal, that song. He compares a materialistic person who thinks he is knowledgeable but actually he is a fool number one to a donkey. He compares him to a donkey. Say Gatha hoy. Samsarira Bhoja. So he wants to enjoy this material world, but he is actually a donkey, chasing after that illusory carrot, the mirage of the carrot. And it's not just that he is going and going and going and is not stopping, but it creates complications. Because in the course of his nikama kama, when the lust is there and it's not satisfied, he gets anger, anyonya vaira, because there is going to be what is that? Obstructions on his path, and those who seemingly create those obstructions become his enemies. That's how his mind is. Mind, what the mind does? What is that? Accepting and rejecting. Sankalpa Vikalpa. There is one Chaitanya Charitamrita verse. What is that? Ei bhalo, ei manda, sab manodharma. Bhadra Bhadra Gyan Sakal. What is that? What is that? 417. Dvaite. Dvaite Bhadra Bhadra Gyan Sab Manodharma. Ei bhalo, ei manda, ei shababham. In the material world, conceptions of good and bad are all mental speculations. Therefore, saying this is good and this is bad is all a mistake. So, riding on this, we think that some people are good, some people are bad, some people are, neutral. This is explained in the chasing after material desires has unlimited complications. Yes, so, 11:28:1, I think. 11:28:1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Parasvabhava Karmani na prachamsen na garhayet Vishwam ekatmakam Pashyan Prakritya Purushena cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said one should neither praise nor criticize the conditioned nature and activities of other persons. This nikama kama, when somebody helps us in our fulfilling of our material desires, we take him as friend. When somebody comes in as an obstruction, and we consider him enemy. But here, one should neither praise nor criticize the conditioned nature and activities of other persons. Rather, one should see this world as simply the combination of material nature and enjoying souls, all based on the one absolute truth. And it goes on, 4 verses at least. Parasvabhava karmani yah prashamsati nindati sa ashu bhrashyate swarthat asatya abhiniveshatah. So, swarthat. Tattvavit swarthagatim Vishnu. So one's real self-interest is to become Krishna conscious. And therefore, if we become, whoever indulges in praising or criticizing the qualities and behavior of others will quickly become deviated from his own best interest by his entanglement in illusory duality. Now why is it said parasvabhava prashamsati nindati, glorifying or criticizing? Because that is called association. When we see others' qualities, if we appreciate, that means I am associating with that. I am also wanting to be like that. If I appreciate something, that means I also want to be like that. That is association. And if I am nindati, that is also association, because I don't want to be like that. I want to be in another way. Of course, there is a distinction about spiritual and material. Yes, we should be praising devotees who have good qualities, spiritual qualities, and we should nindati or criticize the non-devotional tendency so that we can protect ourselves. When we say that Hiranyakashipu is a rascal. We are not chastising Hiranyakashipu. We are warning ourselves that I should not become such a rascal. There is a reason that actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that three kinds of criticisms are good. Uh, One kind of criticism is to criticize something so that I will strongly have this um, resolve to not to associate with such persons and such tendencies. For example, in the beginning of one's Krishna consciousness, when one is trying to surrender and one's family members are not very encouraging, then he becomes very opposed, very strongly against his family members. For the time being, such a mentality is good. For example, in the case of the Dhruva Maharaj, although he is not like, he had a strong renunciation, he actually was strongly attached to the position of becoming a king so that he will be accepted. But by whatever means, yena tena prakarena, he somehow got a strong feeling against, he walked out. At 5 years old, he walked out. It is criticizing tendency, right? But that helped him come out of family entanglement and gave him the opportunity of association with a pure devotee. So, and then following the orders, he eventually became pure devotee. And after that, he did not have inimical feelings towards his stepmother or his stepbrother or his father or anybody. He did not have. But in the initial stages, that is what actually helped him to get to the stage where he was above all these things. See? So such kind of criticism, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, is good because it will protect oneself. So to protect, one has to criticize. So to protect oneself, sometimes the master chastises the disciple to protect the disciple from falling down, from committing mistakes, from committing offenses. So that is for the protection of the recipient of such chastisement. That criticism is also good. And the third criticism is to criticize so that others will know that this is wrong. For myself, for the first person, second person, and third, multiple persons. So three kinds of criticism is actually good. And such criticism should be done only to distinguish spiritual and material. Not to distinguish, not to praise quality of goodness and criticize quality of ignorance, or praise passion and criticize ignorance only. That is all within the modes. That it becomes material criticism, and a Vaishnava should refrain from such criticism. Criticism should only be for distinguishing material and spiritual. That criticism is authorized criticism. When in the Nectar of Instruction there is a fifth verse, yesterday Prabhu also was showing that, propensity, advanced devotee does not have the propensity to criticize others. कृष्णेति यस्य विरितं मनसा ध्रियेत दीक्षास्ति चेत् प्रणतिभिश्च भजन्तमीशं शुश्रूषया भजनविज्ञमनन्यमन्य निन्दादिशून्यहृदमीप्सितसङ्गलब्ध्या निन्दादिशून्यहृदम् ईप्सितसङ्गलब्ध्या. So here it is said, one should mentally honor the different classes of devotees. Okay? One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances. So first with the mind, next with the body, next with body, words and mind. 3. Okay? So one should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. When one pays obeisances, mind and body is involved. Then mind, body and words, finally. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. This criticism is talking about mundane criticism, distinguishing between wet stool and dry stool. If we praise dry stool because it is better than wet stool, if we think like that, both are stool. So that kind of criticism is useless. And by doing that, one associates with the modes. Whereas when we criticize material life altogether and praise spiritual life, which is exhibited by pure devotees, then we become spiritually associating with the spiritual qualities of the devotees, and then we will also become, that is called proper Vaishnava Sangha. So that's why in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, see this 2:16, what is this? Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah, ubhayorapi drishtontas tvanayostat. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So, the spiritual, devotees, they study the nature of both, criticize one, praise the other, and that's how they associate, and then eventually also good. So they study the nature of both. Why we have a verse, for example, by Shankaracharya, Naristhanabharanabhidesham drishtva magha mohavesham etannam savyasadi vikaram manasi vichintaya varam varam, saying where, don't be too attracted by the supposed beauty of woman's breasts and her waist and all these things. They are just fat, flesh, and other disgusting elements. Don't be attracted to them. That is a criticism. Oh, this is disgusting. So that to protect ourselves. So this is distinguishing between material body and the soul. That's why we have that story, truth and beauty. That lady who separated her beauty. You know that story? Don't know? That means you haven't read Science of Self-Realization. Liquid beauty. So that means that story is that this man, he wanted to propose to this girl. So he said, I really, you're very beautiful, I want to marry you. So she said, are you sure? You're making a decision in haste. Love at first sight, don't fall for that. So she said, take 1 week and come back and see me. And if you still think that you're attracted, then let's do it. Then in that 1 week, that man was eagerly waiting. Okay, 1 week, 6 years. He was counting down 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the woman, on the other hand, she was taking purgatives, like Trifala. Then you'll go to toilet many times. And I think it's more laxatives, more, I think, intense. So she was vomiting, she was, passing stool, loose motions, everything. So after 1 week, then the man came, very eager to come. And she was sitting at the veranda, and he asked her, where is that girl, there's one beautiful girl in this house I saw last week. She said, I'm the one. No, you can't. You are like this, what is this? No, I'm the one. Then what happened to you? Then, no, I just separated my beauty, the ingredients of my beauty. Oh, what is that? What do you mean? Then she showed. So actually, when she was vomiting, passing stool, urine, whatever, she was pouring it in pots. And she collected all those in pots, stool, vomit and everything. And she invited him, come, see the ingredients of my beauty. And he saw then it was like, this is disgusting. Yeah, well, that is the beauty I have. So this is a story to tell us the critical nature. I mean, this is a criticizing material body so that we don't get attracted to the material body. And then we understand the distinction between body and soul and the beauty of the soul. It's the soul which makes the body look beautiful. But actually, it's the soul. Because nobody likes to marry a dead woman. So, it is the soul that makes it beautiful. So, we have to, in this way, all these instructions are pointed in such a way that it points to the soul and ultimately to Krishna, who is our real relative, our real father, mother, everything. So, In this way, there is um, criticism. Yeah. Now, going back all the way. Hmm. Actually, this what is this? Purport is also very nice by Bhaktisiddhanta. A conditioned soul desires to lord it over material nature and thus criticizes another conditioned soul whom he considers inferior. Similarly, one praises a superior materialist because one aspires to that superior position. See, this is what is association. Because one aspires to become like, if I praise Sachin Tendulkar is a good cricketer, that means I also want to be a good batsman. Like, I may not be able to do it, but in my mind I have this desire. I develop this desire by praising such person. Similarly, one praises superior materialist because one aspires to that superior position in which one may dominate others. Because if a good sportsman, good businessman, whatever, they're dominating other business, dominating other sportsmen, right? So we are associating with the dominating tendency. That's what we're doing when we are praising these kind of personalities. Because they dominate. So we also want to dominate, we want to become the Lord. Yeah. Praising and criticizing other materialistic people are thus directly or indirectly based on envy of other living entities and cause one to fall down from swartha, one's real self-interest, Krishna consciousness. If we praise a winner in material thing, that means he won only by making another person lose. That's the only way he can win. Not that everyone win-win situation. There's no win-win situation in sports, right? So that is envy. At somebody's distress, I am happy. By nature, this is like that. The words asatya abhiniveshataha by absorption in the temporary or unreal indicate that one should not adopt a concept of material duality and praise or criticize other materialistic persons. Rather, one should praise the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord and criticize the mentality of rebellion against the personality of Godhead, by which one becomes a non-devotee. This is the criticism that a pure devotee engages in. One should not criticize a low class materialist thinking that a high class materialist is nice. In other words, one should distinguish between the material and the spiritual and should not become absorbed in good and bad on the material platform. For example, an honest citizen distinguishes between the life of civil freedom and that of imprisonment, whereas a foolish prisoner distinguishes between comfortable and uncomfortable prison cells. See the distinct. If a prisoner is in a class C cell, his suffering is more. His more not so good. Class A cell is a little bit better off. See? So if the class C prisoner thinks that I should somehow get to the class A, that is very good. Those people are sitting. Those guys are nice guys. They are sitting in class A. But what is nice among them? All are prisoners. So the intelligent person distinguishes between imprisonment and civil freedom, whereas the fool praises A cell and criticizes C cell in the prison itself. So that is an apt example of material and spiritual criticism. Just as for a free citizen, any situation in prison is unacceptable, for a liberated Krishna conscious devotee, any material position is unappealing, however comfortable it may be. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur indicates that rather than trying to separate conditioned souls by materialistic distinctions, one should bring them together to chant the holy names of the Lord and propagate the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. If we criticize on the material platform, we will divide people. If we criticize on the spiritual platform, though, because everybody is ultimately spiritual, so we can properly, there is this saying in Jesus Christ, he said, hate the sin, not the sinner. So spiritual criticism means hating the sin that the sinner is performing, but you don't hate the sinner himself. You want to save him, just like an exorcist sometimes shouts at the ghostly haunted person. He's not shouting at the person, he's shouting at the ghost inside the person. It's not that he hates the person who is haunted by the ghost. So one who is haunted by material existence, we cannot hate them. So criticism on a material platform is bound to produce hate. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. See? So, so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it is better to bring them together to chant the whole. So therefore, we don't have to distinguish whether one is black or white, whether one is Brahmana, Shudra, Mlecha, Chandala, Yavana. We don't care. Somehow or other come and chant Hare Krishna. Although the Varnashram system is there, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are all meant to unitedly cooperate and serve the Supreme Lord, not fight among themselves and divide the whole society. That is not, categorization is different from discrimination. Categorization of society so that everybody is employed according to their qualities and all serve the same purpose of serving the Lord. That is different from discrimination against caste. Oh, I am better, you are, low class. This and that. That is the misuse of the Varnashram Dharma which happened in India. And now the caste system is just a ceremonial thing. Nobody bothers. In fact, reservations are there for those who were so-called low class. And now the so-called Brahmins are deservedly suffering the consequences. Now, a non-devotee or even an envious third-class devotee is not interested in uniting people on the platform of love of God. This is the thing. Even a third-class devotee, envious third class. There are third class who are innocent and who are willing to take steps forward in the association. Those are bona fide. But there are third class devotees who don't want to rise to second class. They want to remain in third class and rather fall down. Envious third class is not interested in uniting people. Schism, undercurrent. They are expert at this, politics. Instead, he unnecessarily separates them by emphasizing material distinctions like communist, capitalist, black, white, rich, poor, liberal, conservative, and so on. Material life is always imperfect, full of ignorance, and disappointing in the end. Rather than praising and criticizing the high and low features of ignorance, one should be absorbed in Krishna consciousness on the spiritual platform of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Perfect, right? So, next verse. Sorry. Just as the embodied spirit soul loses external consciousness when his senses are overcome by the illusion of dreaming or the death-like state of deep sleep, so a person experiencing material duality must encounter illusion and death. So ultimately, there is no point glorifying or criticizing anything, but you just get out of it. Now, Kim Bhadram, just now we said Dvaite Bhadra Bhadragyan Sab Manodharma Ei Bhalo Ei Manda Sab Mano what is it? Ei Sab Abhram. Here again, Bhadra Abhadra. Kim Bhadram Kim Abhadram Va Dvaitasyavastu Nakyat Vachoditam Tadanritam Manasadhyatamevacha. That which is expressed by material words or meditated upon by the material mind is not ultimate truth. What therefore is actually good or bad within this insubstantial world of duality, and how can the extent of such good and bad be measured? And without a proper footing in spiritual life, people, it's alarming how wrong of a conclusion they come to regarding what is right and what is wrong. And they're very convinced about their viewpoints. But because they do not have a strong footing in the spiritual science, they are always, it is based on a very shaky foundation in ignorance. And therefore there are unlimited opinions in this world and they fight among themselves. Now all of them are classified as Nashta Drishti. Every one of them is ignorant. And therefore, today's verse says, Nashta Drishti, this is of course yesterday's verse, Loka Swayam Shreyas Nashta Drishti, Yorthan Samihita Nikama Kama. He is after this, and he is after what is it? Lusty desires. And Anyonya Vairah. So much enmity he creates with people. And Sukhalesha Heto. For very, very little, intangible almost sukha or happiness. Ananta Dukkham Janavedam. Perfect encapsulation of the entire material life. Hmm? So let's see what happens to the person who has these conceptions. What is that? Nikama kama, anyonya vaira. So this is explained in this two verses 11, 23, 47, and 48. मनोवचेन्ये ह्यभवन् स्म देवा मनश्च नान्यस्य वशं समेति भीष्मो हि देवः सहसः सहीयान् युञ्जाद्वशेतं स हि देवदेवः. All the senses have been under the control of the mind since time immemorial, and the mind himself never comes under the sway of any other. He is stronger than the strongest, and his godlike power is fearsome. Therefore, anyone who can bring the mind under control becomes the master of all the senses. This is called Goswami. Nowadays, there is a Bollywood actress whose title is Goswami, one actress. And she's half naked on the screen in Goswami. So, Goswami means this level. One who can control the senses, and control the mind. दुर्जयं शत्रुमसह्य वेगं मरुन्तुदं तन्न विजित्य केचित् कुर्वन्त्य सद्विग्रहमत्र मर्त्यैर् मित्राणि उदासीन रिपून् विमूढाः. So three classes: Mitran, Udasina, Ripun. Failing to conquer this irrepressible enemy, the mind, whose urges are intolerable and who torments the heart. Many people are completely bewildered and create useless quarrel with others. Thus, they conclude that other people are either their friends, their enemies, or parties indifferent to them. This is Nikama Kama, Anyonya Vaira, Sukhalesha Hetor, Ananta Dukkham. You try to fight your enemies, you try to maintain friendships, all are painful. Friendships, can be take years to build and then moments to finish. Actually, anything is like that. Creation of something is a lot of effort. Maintenance is the most effort. Destruction is the least effort. The easiest thing is to destroy anything. To construct a building is very difficult. Destroy is put some dynamite and just finish. So, the mode of ignorance is always easy to go. Therefore, everybody gravitates towards that. Gravitates towards the easy. Tamogun. So now we create like this. Nashtadrishti. And in this way, what happens? Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya sankalpa iha karminah sada gnoti haya dukkham anihaya sukhavritaha. 7742. In this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress. And therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. If he is beginning his activities for happiness, that means he is acknowledging that he is currently unhappy. So, until he achieves the so-called happiness, he is unhappy. And once he achieves that, classic example, you know who? This, there are many examples. There is this boxing champion, Tyson Fury. His name was after Mike Tyson. So, he wanted to become the heavyweight champion of the world when he was a teenager, 13, 14 years old. And he was watching on on TV. That time it was past Mike Tyson era. It was the Klitschko brothers from, I think, Ukraine or Russia. Ukraine. The Ukrainian brothers, they were the dominant champions. And he was watching their games and he was, very inspired and he wanted to become. Now, before they retired, he came to his prime. He was 21 or something. Then he fought. His dream was to fight that champion he was watching on the screen. Actually get into the ring with him and fight him and defeat him. That was his goal in life. He did it. He defeated that person. Then after that, he went into depression like never before for at least 5 6 years, 4 5 years out, and then he got some psychiatric treatment. Now again he's so. What happened to him? He said, "I was happy for 10 minutes." After that, he was thinking, "I have climbed the summit. There's nothing more. There's no. That's it. I have achieved the apex of my life. I'm in the zenith, and there's nothing more. I mean, what shall I do with the rest of my life?" So he felt like complete void. So even if one achieves the so-called thing that one really went for, after achieving it, that's all. Is there anything more? So some people they are into this mode of passion. They want more, 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 more. They want to keep themselves active and keep themselves on the edge. So they want to more and more. That is passion. But in the end, what is the goal? What is the end? That's why Prahlad Maharaj says, when Narsimhadev said, I'll give you anything. Prahlad Maharaj said, I don't need anything. I saw my father having everything, but he has no peace of mind at all. He was always not peaceful, always angry, always in a bad mood. Why? Because he's always chasing this material thing and ananta dukkham. So as long as we endeavor for happiness, conditions of distress will begin. Because now you have to climb the ramp. You have chosen yourself some goal, and now you have to work towards it. It's going to be a lot of trouble. So, therefore, how much ever it may be pleasurable for a person desiring sense gratification to see other people gratifying their senses and be, oh, that's nice, this is nice, people commenting. Nowadays everybody comments. Commenting era. YouTube video they will see, write comment. Somebody, oh, one man gives one flower to one lady and then, oh, he's so sweet and this comment. Your life nothing is happening. Somebody is the comment. Eh? So what they're doing, praising, criticizing, praising, criticizing, this is all going on. Nashta drishti. So now they also want to endeavor for that. So now today's verse is anybody who is in this way going around, doing all these things, chasing material happiness, we should not, as a learned person, abhijna, vipascha, those who are learned, actually learned, they should not encourage such people in their. Um, no, that's why I criticized. Why I made videos against Gaur Gopal? Why? Because he is encouraging. Devotee's business is not to encourage somebody to go to gym. That's what he was doing in the video. Encourage people to go to gym. That's not the, I mean, purpose of a monk, right? He should teach people how to become God conscious, Krishna conscious. But it's not. So, if someone is ignorant and addicted to the path of samsara, how can one who is actually learned, merciful, and advanced in spiritual knowledge engage him in fruitive activity and thus further entangle him in material existence? If a blind man is walking down the wrong path, how can a gentleman allow him to continue on his way to danger? How can he approve this method? No wise or kind man can allow this. That means it's not that we only, oh, somebody is addicted to drugs, okay, we will save him from drug addiction and keep him, employ him in some good job somewhere. That's not the position of, that's not the kind of welfare that a devotee does. No. Because even the good job is actually bad. This is the wet stool and the dry stool. Prabhupada gave the example, right? So, when any animal or human passes stool in the open field, in India they do that. So, when the sun comes up and in the afternoon, then the outside portion of the stool becomes dry. The inside is still wet. Now, if I say that, oh, the outside is better than the inside. Right? Stool is stool after all, a disgusting thing. So, just praising one material quality on another is not the way. That's not what a devotee does. No wise man or kind man can allow this. Although, and actually, let's um, look at some verses related to this. 15:15. जुगुप्सितं धर्मकृतेऽनुशासतः स्वभावरक्तस्य महान् व्यतिक्रमः यद्वाक्यतो धर्म इतीतरः स्थितो न मन्यते तस्य निवारणं जनः. This is Narad Muni speaking to Vyasadeva. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable. Because they are guided under your instructions, they will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions. This was just before Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavad Purana. So he wrote so much Vedic literature, he was not happy. So he was not knowing why it is so. And he was sincerely praying to his Guru, Narad Muni. And Narad Muni came and he explained to him, you have written everything except the glories of the Lord, which will that is the only thing which satisfy the conditioned soul, the thirsty conditioned soul. But you have done everything except that. You have misled them. In the name of religion, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all these are cheating. What is that? Dharma projhita kaitavatra paramanirmatsaranam satam. This is all kaitav dharma. Cheating religion. Huh? I gave the example the other day. I think it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita class, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's early pastimes, where the girls were young when he was a young boy, small boy. Then the girls were praying to for good husband to Lord Shiva. Then Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu both had similar pastimes. So he said, if you don't come and take your clothes now, then you will get old man whose husband, then you won't be able to enjoy. You go. Otherwise, you come in front of me. Then they came. Oh, what if it is true? So, of course, that is a spiritual pastime now. But there is another material angle to it, there is a lesson there. People become afraid of curses, or they become satisfied with some blessings when it is concerning their material enjoyment. If they think that there is going to be a material inconvenience, or any such source of inconvenience, they will try to mitigate. And if somebody is going to curse them by that way, what if he is true? What if that Baba is actually Baba? Maybe he's God. Put his picture in the altar, worship. This is how Sai Baba, this is how all kinds of Babas and yogis and gods, so-called gods, have entered into the altar of Hindus today. Where did Sai Baba come from? Where did he come from? Which Shastra shows that Sai Baba is God? All nonsense. Why? Because no Shastra. Maybe what if he is God? Maybe something will happen to me if I criticize. These kind of darpokes exist because they do not know. See, if you are in the dark, then you don't know, you are afraid. So those who are ignorant, they will be afraid of these things. But one who is in knowledge, he will speak the straight truth. Whether somebody likes or not doesn't matter. He will just speak straight from Shastra because he knows what he is doing. And that's how a preacher should speak. He should not encourage him, okay, you also worship Sai Baba, you also worship this Baba, you also worship that yogi. No, you cannot worship. Mam ekam sharanam vraja, Krishna says. Surrender to me alone. Mam ekam. Okay? There is no such thing as this one also, that one also, anything also can. This kind of philosophy we don't accept. Yatamat athapat. Ehomati shehomati. We don't accept this kind of philosophy. This is wrong. So, however harsh the truth may be, one should speak, not fearing the consequences. People may become agitated because of that. Like we said in one video, in one lecture, and it was made into a short. We said Sadhguru is rascal. Because he himself says, I did not read the Shastra. And then why are you speaking on Shastra? So you just said that. And it has some, I think, it had garnered about 3 million views on YouTube. And people are criticizing. So of course some people understand, but many people, 80%, 85% criticize. What is this? Who is this? Who's calling Sadhguru a rascal? So but we don't care. We want to actually expose these people. We have to expose. We cannot be afraid. They say, what is that? There is a saying, might is right. That is in the material world. They want to show they are right by showing might. But the other way is, the opposite is true. Right is might. Truth is actually strength. Not might is right is might. So, so that is how we should conduct ourselves. A preacher should uncompromisingly speak the truth. No compromise at all. Not budge a millimeter from the truth. That is the stand of a preacher. Not that he wants to show off that, I will speak the truth, I will take on these, I want to show that I am the brave man. No, to help them. Because if I'm going to lie, he will fall into the ditch. Suppose if a blind man is crossing the road, he doesn't know the car is coming, and the car driver is looking at somewhere else, looking on his phone and driving. He's not looking at the in front, and it's going to be an accident, and he's going to die. If I can do something about it, if I can pull that blind man, now I should do it. But if I don't, he will feel bad. No, a sudden jerk, he will not feel good. Okay. Then what will happen? Suddenly he will go to Yamaraj. Right? So which is better? Having a sudden jerk for a moment and then actually saving his life, or allowing him to continue, let him be peaceful now. Let him just walk, don't disturb him. Which is better? So when we speak bitter truth from the Shastra, authorized truth is always authorized. Then it may be a jerk for many people. It may be a jerk for jerks. But we don't care. We don't care for jerks. So we want to help them with the truth. It's a service which we cannot deny, which we cannot turn away from, shun away from. So, just like a mental doctor, who a psychiatrist, he deals with mental patients. Now, sometimes those mad people will say that, hey, who are you? Why are you giving me medicine? Why are you counseling me? You are the rascal. You are the mad fellow. So sometimes they will talk bad, maybe even vulgarity to the doctor, but the doctor has to be patient and uncompromisingly give him the medicine that he must do. Now, let's see the purport. Very nice, instructive purport. We will stop it after this and two more verses. Srila Vyasadev's compilation of different Vedic literatures on the basis of regulated performances of fruitive activities as depicted in the Mahabharata and other literature is condemned herewith by Srila Narada. Bhagavad Gita is there in the Mahabharata. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is the essence, but there is a lot of... Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses. To deliver the 700 verses, he packaged it in 100,000 verses. In medicine, there is the delivery agent and there is the active principle. The active principle is actually the medicine. The other part is the delivery agent, which helps the active ingredient to assimilate into the body. So, the delivery agent has 100,000 verses and the active principle is 700 verses. So, Narada Muni condemned. You see, the human beings by long material association, life after life, have a natural inclination by practice to endeavor to lord it over material energy. They have no sense of the responsibility of human life. This human form of life is a chance to get out of the clutches of illusory matter. The Vedas are meant for going back to Godhead, back home. To revolve in the cycle of transmigration in a series of lives numbering 8.4 million is an imprisoned life for the condemned conditioned souls. The human form of life is a chance to get out of this imprisoned life. And as such, the only occupation of the human being is to re-establish his lost relationship with God. Under the circumstances, one should never be encouraged in making a plan for sense enjoyment in the name of religious functions. Such diversion of the human energy results in a misguided civilization. Srila Vyasadeva is the authority in Vedic explanations in the Mahabharata, etc., and his encouragement in sense enjoyment in some form or other is a great barrier for spiritual advancement because the people in general will not agree to renounce material activities which hold them in material bondage. At a certain stage of human civilization, when such material activities in the name of religion, specifically sacrificing animals in the name of yajna, were too rampant, the Lord incarnated himself as Buddha and decried the authority of the Vedas in order to stop animal sacrifice in the name of religion. This was foreseen by Narada, and therefore he condemned such literatures. The flesh eaters still continue to perform animal sacrifice before some demigod or goddess in the name of religion, because in some of the Vedic literatures such regulated sacrifice are recommended. They are so recommended to discourage flesh eating, but gradually the purpose of such religious activities is forgotten and the slaughterhouse becomes prominent. See, this is because foolish materialistic men do not care to listen to others who are actually in a position to explain the Vedic rites. In the Vedas, it is distinctly said that the perfection of life is never to be attained either by voluminous work or by accumulation of wealth or even by increasing the population. But it is so attained only by renunciation. The materialistic men do not care to listen to such injunctions. According to them, the so-called renounced order of life is meant for those who are unable to earn their livelihood because of some corporeal defects, bodily defects. So maybe he does not, maybe he's a little bit limping, cannot get proper job. He became sadhu now, begging and earning his livelihood. That is the idea people have about devotees. Is meant for those who are unable to earn their livelihood because of some corporeal defects, or for persons who have failed to achieve prosperity in family life. He tried for girlfriend 100 times, did not get, became sadhu. That's what people think. He did not get, so instead of losing status in society that everybody has a wife or something, he does not have. So okay, then he wants to gain that fame by becoming a sadhu. No. So that's not why people come to this. In histories like the Mahabharata, of course, there are topics on transcendental subjects along with the material topics. The Bhagavad Gita is there in the Mahabharata. The whole idea of the Mahabharata culminates in the ultimate instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, that one should relinquish all other engagements and should engage oneself solely and fully in surrendering under the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. But men with materialistic tendencies are more attracted to the politics, economics, and philanthropic activities mentioned in the Mahabharata than to the principal topic, namely the Bhagavad Gita. This compromising spirit of Vyasadeva is directly condemned by Narada, who advises him to directly proclaim that the prime necessity of human life is to realize one's eternal relation with the Lord and thus surrender unto him without delay. A patient suffering from a particular type of malady is almost always inclined to accept eatables which are forbidden for him. The expert physician does not make any compromise with the patient by allowing him to take partially what he should not at all take. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that a man attached to fruitive work should not be discouraged from his occupation, for gradually he may be elevated to the position of self-realization. This is sometimes applicable for those who are only dry empiric philosophers without spiritual realization. But those who are in the devotional line should never be so advised. Very, very instructive purport here. So, this is that verse that it was referring to. 329, where it is said, Prakriter guna sammodha sajjante guna karma suttana pritsnavido mandan pritsnavinna vichalayet. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. So the wise people should not unsettle the materialistic people. That is what is said here, right? So we should not preach them to them, don't agitate them, let them be what they're doing. This advice is there in the purport just now, if you have noticed. What it is said? In Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that a man attached to fruitive work should not be discouraged from his occupation, for gradually he may be elevated to the position of self-realization. This is sometimes applicable for those who are only dry empiric philosophers without spiritual realization. But those who are in the devotional line should never be so advised. So that thing is for the Jnanis who offer only what? Oh, renounce. If you ask a materialist to renounce, he will not be interested. So better don't disturb him. You yourself don't have any realization, don't disturb him. You cultivate your own spiritual life. But the devotees, that this advice is not applicable for them, because they know how to engage their materialistic propensities in devotional service. If somebody is, businessman, a Jnani would say, give up your business, become sannyas. Devotee will say, continue your business, donate to Krishna. So, his tendencies are still intact, but it is used kayena vacham manasendriyairva buddhyatmanava nasrita svabhavat. What is that? कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वानुसृतस्वभावात् करोति यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयेत्. In accordance with the particular nature one has acquired in conditioned life, whatever one does with body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the Supreme, thinking, this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayana. This is the principle of a preacher. He will engage them, whatever they have, in accordance with the conditioned life. Their intelligence, their body, their words, their mind, senses, engage them in Krishna service. So that is Narayanayate Samarpayeta. So just close this chapter, this class. Let's do this. Naveda Kripana Shreya Atmano Gunavastudrik Tasya Tanichato Yached Yadiso Pitathavitha. 6949. Those who think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers, Kripana. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. To encourage them in their materialistic endeavor is foolish enough, but to actually give them the means to achieve those materialistic desires is even more so. For example, ISKCON, that Gaur Gopal Das, he's encouraging by giving motivational speech. You can do it, kind of speech. Do material, go to gym, go to whatever. And then we saw another temple. They are actually, somebody wanted to become actress. We will connect you with that school where you can become actress. Somebody wanted to become chef. Get him to Taj Vivanta Hotel and get him employed as actually giving facility, going beyond just encouragement and actually giving facility for such person to become something in this material world. That is not the job, and that's actually misleading the people. That's not guidance, that's not welfare work. That is Mandodayadaya. Yes, next one. You can read the purport also, we will just go to the verse. Swayam nishreya samvidvan navatyajnaya karmahin naratirogiно pathyam vanchatopi bhishaktamah. A pure devotee who is fully accomplished in the science of devotional service will never instruct a foolish person to engage in fruitive activities for material enjoyment, not to speak of helping him in such activities. Encouragement and help, no. Such a devotee is like an experienced physician who never encourages a patient to eat food injurious to his health, even if the patient desires it. So when you ask a smoker to stop smoking, he will get angry. But a doctor's job is to say that only. So sometimes people pay to get to the doctor. But a devotee is so kind that without receiving any payment, at the risk of being insulted, he will tell the patient, you stop this materialistic way of life. That is the Titikshava Karunika Sadhu Bhushana. So we'll stop here. That is the heart of the preacher. Titikshava Karunika. But no compromise. So any questions or comments on this topic? No questions? We'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Go Primam.